Mr. Chairman, we are streaming live and recording. You may begin when you're ready.
Morning, friends. Welcome to the May TAC meeting of 2026. Members are reminded that these meetings are in person for quorum requirements. Members attending online may not vote, but may comment and participate in discussion. To participate virtually, please use the raise hand feature. All right. There are 2 public comment points in this meeting. Any persons are welcome to fill out a comment card by the door and give those to Rachel in order to speak. I don't have any special comments for y'all today, so I'll turn it over to Slade for the agenda review.
Right. Thank you, Miles. Good morning, everyone. So today at your places, at your seats, you will have a combined report that shows off some of MetroPlan Orlando's major work over the past year or so. I say combined report because it is a 2-in-1. It opens on one side to give you the executive summary of our 2050 MTP. And on the other side, it opens to our report to the community, which focuses on safety, technology, and outreach, captures some of our data from our first annual Vision Zero report. And so, yeah, you can open it from both sides because it's 2 reports. It's a report with no back cover. So those are also linked in your agenda packets and available on our website if you want to check out the digital version, but then you don't get the, you don't get the little both sides wow of it on digital. So we wanted to give you a paper copy also. So later in today's agenda, Natalia will give you more information about our upcoming Transportation Improvement Program, our TIP, and how we'll be making this information available to the public. This year, we have 3 in-person pop-up TIP meetings planned, 1 in each county, and that will help us explain our 5-year work program to you and to the public and try and get the word out to any folks that want to, stop by, talk with us about those upcoming projects. And those are up on the screen, but I think they'll also be on our online calendar if you want to take a look there. Another piece of housekeeping, wanted to remind everyone that our office will be closed on June 19th to celebrate Juneteenth and the historic freedoms that come along with Juneteenth. And lastly, I wanted to let you all know about the retirement of Marianne Horn. Marianne has been with MetroPlan since 2012 and has been promoting the efforts of our entire communications team wholeheartedly for the last 14 years. So thanks to Marianne. She's not with us in person today. I think she might be tuned in online. But if you do happen to see her before her retirement on June 12th, please congratulate her on well-deserved retirement. And with that, I can turn it over to Mike for the safety memo. Thanks.
Thank you, Slade, and good morning, everyone. I'm going to talk about seat belts again. And this time around, I want to talk about how they relate to the issue of impairment. Because if you recall from a couple months ago, I talked about how we were actually seeing a significant drop in impaired driving fatalities. Great news, right? So understanding that, we have to make sure we're not confounding the factors. So when we compared the past 3 years of fatalities with years 2016 through 18, we saw a 13% drop in unrestrained driver fatalities and more than 50% for unrestrained passengers, and doing even better with the younger passengers under 18 at more than 70%. But it was really those impaired drivers who were unrestrained that where we saw the drop. Notice at the very bottom there, we actually had an increase in unimpaired, unrestrained drivers. So it was really the the drop in impairment that was responsible for the drop in unrestrained crashes. So it means we still have some work to do on making sure people are buckled up when they're in the vehicle, particularly for the drivers, and especially for the younger drivers, because that's both where we saw the decrease in impaired driving, but also the increase in unrestrained driving. So just that reminder that everybody needs to buckle up when we're in the car and when we're getting in the car, so that we don't have to be buckled into one of these later on. And again, especially let's focus on those younger drivers. That concludes my safety moment. Be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Mike. Next up is our agency reports. This is an opportunity for our partner agencies to speak here at the TAC. In the future, if any partners would like to speak, please let Slade or Rachel know. Today, we have Mr. Jonathan Scarf with the FDOT report.
Morning, Mr. Chair, TAC members. Just a couple of general announcements for you this morning. So on May 8th, we held the Central Florida Safety Summit. It was our third annual, and there was numerous award winners from around the Tri-County area here. I just wanted to let you know who they were. Metro Plan Orlando received the Outreach Award for their safety efforts, and the individual award went to Seminole County Commissioner Bob Delary, and then the Community Award went to Osceola County. So again, thank you all for your participation, those that partnered with us to make that event special. As we move in, I know we're at the end of May now, but May marked Youth Traffic Safety Month, and it's a reminder for young people who experience our transportation systems in many ways. Whether they're walking to school, riding bikes, traveling with others, or getting behind the wheel for the first time, as daily routines change with the onset of summer, more young drivers end up on Florida roads, going to the beach or commuting to summer jobs. Just to provide you with a few stats, as of January this year in Florida, nearly 940,000 licensed drivers were between the ages of 15 and 19 years old, representing 1 out of every 20 drivers on the road. And in 2025, Florida teen drivers were involved in 8.5% of total traffic fatalities and 11.5% of total crashes. So again, a reminder, I know many of us have children, keep pushing our safety efforts and ensure that they're aware as we move into the summer. You have your full construction report in your general documents of your agenda. Typically, I'll just call out a few projects that we've recently started. First, you on State Road 423 from Kingswood Drive to Addison Street. This project will conduct pedestrian safety improvements along State Road 423. Some of those intersection improvements will include crosswalks, updated pedestrian signals, and yield to pedestrian signs at Kingswood Drive and Addison Street. And then next, we've already started a resurfacing project on Sand Lake Road, State Road 482, from Orange Blossom Trail to South Orange. Again, this is a pretty straightforward resurfacing project that we just began. Pending questions, that concludes my update. And as always, in between committees, you feel the need to reach out to the department, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you in contact with whoever you need to speak with. That concludes my update.
Thank you very much. Roll call time. Rachel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If members can please remember to turn on their microphone, respond with here or present, and then mute your microphone. Doig for Baden.
Present.
Bates. Boswell.
Present.
Cash. Castellero.
Present.
Castro.
Here.
Cologne.
Present.
Crandell.
Here.
Delachey.
Here.
Elliott Moore.
Present.
Falk.
Here.
Hardwick.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Horn.
Here.
Lofaso.
Present.
Mendenhall. Mercado Vasquez.
Here.
Morales.
Present.
Nezha.
Here.
Nelson.
Present.
O'Keefe.
Here.
Owens.
Here.
Perez.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Pullum.
Here.
Ramos.
Here.
Recchi.
Present.
Roll.
Here.
Sanders.
Here.
Satorio.
Here.
Kintner for Smith.
Present.
Story.
Here.
Stoltz.
Here.
Balone for Williams,
Present.
Womack,
Present.
Yeargain,
Here.
Zayas.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the roll call. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, time for common presentations. We have 3 of them today. These presentations are intended for the combined membership of both TAC and TISMO and presented at the beginning of this meeting for that purpose. Members with questions can stand their nameplate on end, and please remember to turn your mic on. Up first, Natalia Barber from Metroplan Orlando with the Draft Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP, for FY 2027 to FY 2031. Natalia.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. Today, I will introduce our TIP preview, which is a transportation improvement program for fiscal years from 27 to 31. So what is the TIP and how often does it get updated? It's updated annually and it sets the schedule for improvements to your transportation network regionally for the next 5 years. And what it does, it assigns available funding to specific projects. It includes all sorts of different funding from federal, state, Florida Turnpike Enterprise projects, as well as it includes locally funded projects and CFX projects. And these 2 categories are included just for informational purposes. What's new in the 27 to 31 TIP is that it was updated for consistency with the 2050, which is the long-term transportation plan. So you can easily refer between both documents. How does it fit in our core projects? First, the projects are put on the MTP, which is the Long Range Transportation Plan, and that's for 25 years. Then the projects are prioritized based on the regional and multimodal priorities, and then they are assigned funding, and now you will see them in the TIP. And the TIP is for 5 years, as mentioned. How do you look for the TIP? In the TIP for projects, there are different sections that TIP provides, and it starts with the introduction, list of regionally significant projects and financial summary. In the financial summary, you'll see the historical costs, costs per year for the next consecutive 5 years, and then possibly some future costs if the projects are longer. And then the following sections include other information like abbreviations, acronyms, and the system performance report. So let's get into it. The interstate and national highway system projects, that's one of the first sections. It includes projects on interstate highway system, strategic intermodal system, and freight network. These projects include moving Florida forward, interchange improvements, as well as capacity improvements. These are 30 projects for $1.5 billion in funding. The next one is the state highway system project section. It's a very broad section with different types of projects, from capacity improvements to operations improvement, urban corridor improvements, resurfacing, and 118 projects for nearly $1 billion. And Metroplan Orlando contributes to 7 of them for $50 million in funding. Aviation projects include projects at 3 airports. These are taxiway maintenance, taxiway improvements, 14 projects in total for nearly $240 million in funding. Urban corridor improvement projects, these are projects that focus on bicyclists and pedestrians and as well as their safety. Metroplan Orlando contributes to 11 out of 12 projects for over half of the funding of these category, so 46 million out of 82 million in project funding. Active transportation projects section. This is very self-explanatory. Bicycle and pedestrian projects, local and regional trails. Metroplan Orlando contributes to 9 projects out of 10 in this section for half the funding, which is 32 million in funding out of 64 million total. TISMO projects, typical TISMO improvements when it comes to incident management, corridor management, 13 projects, and Metroplan contributes to all 13 of them for 23 million in funding. Regional transit projects, this section includes your transit-related improvements as well as commuter rail. A total of 26 projects, Metroplan Orlando contributes to 2 of them for 44 million in funding, and this is for transit capital improvements, not the operations. Toll road projects, 38 for 878 million. This section is mostly for informational purposes in the tip. These projects type include Florida Turnpike Enterprise that are currently for your preview. The CFX projects are not there yet. They'll be included in the appendix once they release their 5-year work plan. These types of projects include interchange improvements, maintenance, capacity improvements, partner-funded projects, and I reached out to a lot of local agencies to ask what is happening in their regions, and they responded and told us about what projects they're planning in the next 5 years. And we were able to collect 119 projects for nearly 1 billion in funding. And these are also in the tip for informational purposes because they're locally funded. This is the funding summary for federal and state funding only. So this summary does not include locally funded projects as well as CFX and toll projects. So 230 for over 3 billion. And this pie chart shows the breakdown of where this funding is allocated. When it comes to Metro Plan's projects, it supports 35 of them for 145 million. And there are 4 main sections: active transportation, TISMO, transit capital, and urban corridor improvements. How can you provide a comment? So now that we've collected these data for you and put it in one document, we're seeking for public involvement. And anyone can visit our website to learn more about the tip. We can also collect comments during these meetings and board meetings, as well as we are launching next week Tip Tuesdays, and it's available on our calendar. We kick it off on June 2nd here downtown Orlando. All people are welcome. So I hope some of you will decide to stop by, say hello, learn about projects in this area. And then we go to Kissimmee and then Sanford. The next steps for this program is the draft to be reviewed by partner agencies, and we're seeking to receive comments by June 5th. The public comments are requested by July 8th, and July 8th is also the date that the board will vote on the tip. Once we collect the comments, we will share them with the board and prepare the final tip document for adoption. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, question. Thank you so much for the presentation, Natalia. My question to you is related to the funding and how certain we are that those fundings, as we're projecting, will become available. The reason that I am asking is from a state perspective, we know that Governor DeSantis is talking about the property taxes. And based on those projections, if they increase the homestead and whatnot, then the revenue for municipalities or agencies can be lower. So then we will have to adjust. So my question is based on the political nature and the type of funding that we have and the 5-year projection to the long-term 25-year projection. Is there a certain assurance that that money will be there? Or it can change based on the political aspects. And also we know that the costs are also fluctuating. So lack of funding and increasing costs, perhaps it can be a diminish or reduction of projects.
I'll let my colleague answer this question for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Natalia. Good morning, everyone. I'm Taylor Laurent with Metro Plan Orlando. So in terms of future funding, the TIP is primarily composed of state and federal funding, which has minimal impacts due to some of those changes that you're describing. But Metro Plan Orlando also takes a conservative approach to programming projects through the TIP, and we maintain some reserve balances for those unexpected cost increases that may come up. And if any changes do occur that are beyond what our reserves can handle, that is something that we'll handle on an individual basis with each project as they may or may not be impacted.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks, Natalia.
Thank you.
Up next, Slade Downs from Metro Plan Orlando with a presentation on the draft 2026 prioritized project list, PPL.
All right, thank you. Good morning again. Like Miles said, I'll be walking us through this year's annual update to the prioritized project list. So a bit of background on what the PPL is. The prioritized project list serves as a bridge between the MTP and the TIP. Natalia just told you about the 5 years covered in the TIP, and the PPL is a list of as yet funded state and federal projects that focuses on the 10 years following the TIP. So the PPL is updated annually, and you are getting a chance to see the preview of that update because we're asking for your feedback. And a bit about how we approach the PPL process. It stays consistent with the 2050 MTP, where we've established our needs, our cost feasibilities, cost forecasts, scenarios, that sort of thing. It is consistent with policy and direction established by Metro Plan Orlando's board, and it's a performance-based process as far as the prioritization goes. It follows the prioritization process laid out in the MTP, but the end goal is to use this as one of the tools to deliver high-quality transportation projects across the region. So I mentioned a few times that we update it every year, but this year the document has had a kind of deeper refresh than previous years, so that it will align with the newly adopted 2050 MTP. So that means new table structure, new appearance, hopefully a more approachable document for all of you and for the public. And it may look a little bit different, but the projects should look pretty familiar. They are the same projects that you would have seen in the MTP back in December when that was adopted. So I wanted to take just a second to walk you through kind of what you'll be looking at in that feedback process. So first up this is a typical table that you will see in the PPL and kind of how to go about it. On the left there, that is the PPL rank, so where it ranks on the priorities for that specific list. Next, you'll see the roadway or facility in question for that project, along with the financial management number and our internal MTP identification number. Next, you'll have the geographic limits of the project as well as the agency responsible. And then, of course, project description, pretty self-explanatory, what the project entails. Then this column, the phase request column, shows you what funding is being requested. So maintain means funding has already been programmed for those phases. And then program, it means we're asking for that money in the upcoming process to go into the TIP. So this example shows you a couple that we already have programmed and a couple that we're requesting as well. And lastly, the costs in millions for each of those phases. So as far as the actual lists that you will see in the PPL, these are all of the different lists, tables and lists you will see there, the different funding categories. These funding categories should look a little familiar. They are laid out in the MTP, but also it's kind of the same structure as Natalia just mentioned in the TIP. So that way, again, it's hopefully easier to look between the two documents and have those two work together to make up the full picture. So now I'll give you a quick rundown on each of those, and we'll start off with the interstates list. Of course, interstate improvement projects are found here, including moving Florida forward, express lanes on I-4, and truck parking, trying to solve that freight pinch point along I-4. Next, we've got our state roads and state highway system. Any of the state roads or US routes through your cities, counties, towns will be found on this list. includes safety projects, context-based design projects, widening, TSMO, lots of different types of projects on that state highway system. Next, we have our Transportation Regional Incentives Program, TRIP, and our off-system construction assistance projects. This is a supplemental funding program in coordination with the state and federal government. This is intended for regionally significant projects and projects that have kind of a key role in the overall transportation network, but are off of the on and off of the state highway system, excuse me. Next, we have our off-system safety priority projects. So this and the next couple of lists that I'll talk about are funded with urban area funds. You may have seen them also listed as TMA funds. That means that they're basically funded at the discretion of the protocols and policies approved by Metro Plan Orlando's board. So the off-system safety priority projects list includes projects that are part of our high injury network countermeasures program, safety projects like redesigns, crosswalk signals, lighting, etc. This is a direct result of our Vision Zero efforts to bring deaths and serious injuries down to zero. Next, we have our urban corridor improvements and context-based design projects. This is another one of those urban area fund categories. These are projects off the state highway system and on our county and city roads that include design improvements to make roads safer and more enjoyable for pedestrians, bicyclists, and transit users. Next, we have our active transportation projects, another urban area funds category. That includes biking and walking projects for all of our non-motorized users. And that active transportation category includes a boxed fund, which is the school mobility program and hazardous walking conditions program. So by boxed fund, I mean it's a kind of set aside bucket of money within the active transportation category, specifically for these types of projects meant to work alongside the Safe Routes to School program, building sidewalks near schools and other hazardous walking condition areas. Next, we have TSMO, or Transportation Systems Management and Operations projects. This includes different transportation technologies such as ITS, traffic signal timing, and connected vehicle systems and more. And last but certainly not least, we have our regional transit projects. Some of the highlights on this include Sunrail Phase 3, Sunshine Corridor, the Sunrail to the airport, as well as the Link Southern Operations Facility and operations and existing capital for both the transit agencies. So as far as what comes next, I'm on a similar timeline as Natalia with the TIP. We're asking for your feedback on the projects in your municipalities, your jurisdictions. We're asking for that feedback by June 5th. Hopefully you've all received the email with the document, but if not, it's attached in your agenda packets. You can actually view the full documents on the Tayden screens in front of you. And it's also, of course, available online. Once we get that feedback, we will incorporate it into a final draft, which we'll bring back to you at our next committee meeting, and then onwards to the board for adoption in July. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Thanks.
I don't see any slide. Appreciate it.
I'll take it. Okay. Thanks.
All right, our last common presentation is from Michael Leo with the Florida Turnpike Enterprise with a status update on Florida's Turnpike Enterprise projects. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having us in today. I'm going to actually deliver two separate presentations, and I'll pause after each one for any questions that you might have. The first presentation is for bundle projects at the Orlando South Interchange in Orange County. And the second presentation is for turnpike widening project from milepost 242 to 243.5, along with improvements at the US 192 intersection or interchange, I'm sorry, and that is in Osceola County. So starting with the bundled projects, those are for improvements specifically at Consulate Drive, US 441, La Quinta Drive, and Gills Drive, as I mentioned, in Orange County. In terms of schedule, the design phase of this project began the third quarter of last year, and it included a reevaluation of a PD&E study, which was originally completed in 2021. The public information meeting is scheduled for June 16th and 18th of next month, and the public hearing is scheduled for December. We also expect right-of-way acquisition to occur at the end of the current year, and construction is slated to begin the first quarter of 2028. This schedule is subject to change, but throughout this design development, we will continue to engage local stakeholders along the way. So before covering the projects currently in design, I want to cover a little bit of background. The Orlando South Interchange is in Orange County at the intersection of the Turnpike and State Road 528 or the Beachline Expressway. It was originally constructed in 1964 to provide turnpike access to Orange Blossom Trail. It has been modified over the years to meet the changing needs of the area and users, and now includes connections to the Beachline Expressway. Operational issues result from the current configuration, the location of this interchange, as well as the volume and characteristics of the traffic. Recognizing the need for improvements here, the Turnpike completed a PD&E study for the Orlando South Ultimate Interchange, as I mentioned earlier, in May of 2021. So this was a large regional study, which covered about 3.5 miles along the Turnpike and 4 miles along 528, as well as multiple interchanges. The preferred alternative identified in the PD&E included improvements at the main interchange, as well as reliever interchanges connected to local street systems. One of the interchanges, known as the Voltaire interchange, was identified just east of the Florida Mall along 528. The other would be Taft Vineland Road along Florida's Turnpike. For the main interchange, direct connect ramps will be constructed between the Turnpike and the Beachline to improve efficiency. There's Beachline bridges over the Turnpike that would be replaced to allow for additional lanes along the Turnpike. Improved ramp operations are addressed with all electronic tolls and the elimination of ramp weaving. Local street operations are improved with the addition of the recommended interchanges, improvements along Consulate Drive, and improvements to the Orange Blossom Trail and Consulate Drive intersection. The total cost of these improvements will exceed $1 billion. So large projects like these are often delivered in segments, and PD&E studies are often reevaluated. So this project will be delivered in segments, providing incremental improvements, and the PD&E is currently being reevaluated. The first segment advancing from the PD&E is Taft Vineland, which is slated to begin construction at the end of this year. So talking a little bit more about Voltaire, this was what was recommended in the PD&E. It would have provided a connection east of Florida Mall to Land Street Road and Sand Lake Road. Due to the complexities of this location, right-of-way impacts, the Turnpike engaged in a feasibility study as part of the PD&E reevaluation. The goal of the study was to identify another solution, another alternative that would address the current congestions, but with fewer impacts and at a lower cost, so the Turnpike could provide relief in the near term. So the main purpose of that interchange was to eliminate ramps to and from Land Street Road. That would in turn reduce congestion along Land Street Road, as well as its intersection with Orange Blossom Trail, while also providing operational improvements along the Beachline and the remaining loop ramp. So to achieve this, the study recommended an interchange located just west of Voltaire, which would maintain the same functionality, allowing for closure of those ramps I mentioned, but could deliver congestion relief in the near term. So the solution consists of a new Beachline eastbound new eastbound on-ramp from Gills Road and a new Beachline westbound off-ramp to La Quinta. These improvements along La Quinta have the potential to provide relief to the statewide shortage of available tractor trailer parking. So as part of this PD&E reevaluation, which is currently underway, we are considering locating truck parking in an out parcel owned by Florida Mall. That ingress and egress to that lot would be via that roundabout. So now that I've outlined the background for both the original PD&E as well as the reevaluation, I want to move on to describe the two bundled projects drawn from these studies that have advanced to design, acknowledging that these are just two of many projects coming that together will incrementally improve operations in this area. So the first project shown here constructs only the westbound portion of the interchange south of Florida Mall, providing access to Orange Blossom Trail from the beach line. Specific improvements there would include a new Beachline westbound off-ramp onto La Quinta Drive, new roundabout at La Quinta Drive, milling and resurfacing along La Quinta to provide an additional westbound lane, lighting along the ramp and roundabout, as well as intersection upgrades at Orange Blossom Trail. This shows a typical section of La Quinta, which includes that additional westbound lane along with sidewalks. So the second of the two bundle projects includes interim improvements at Orlando South's main interchange, which again are the first steps towards greater future improvements at this location. The interim improvements will help increase safety and relieve traffic congestion along Consulate Drive near Florida's Turnpike. The improvements specifically include providing 2 dedicated left turn lanes and 2 through lanes on Florida's Turnpike southbound exit ramp onto Consulate Drive, adding a 3rd left turn lane on Consulate Drive at US 441, and finally extending a right-hand turn lane along Orange Blossom Trail. So traffic analysis was performed, and it confirms operational improvements resulting from these projects. Under the build condition, there's an overall 9% reduction in cumulative intersection delays from Sand Lake Road to Taft Vineland compared to the no build scenario. In addition to intersection performance, corridor travel times were evaluated for the 2035 PM peak, and the analysis indicates travel time improvements on both Orange Blossom Trail and 528. Any questions on those bundled projects?
Hello, thank you for that presentation. Laura from the City of Orlando. For the traffic analysis or the PD&E, did you all look at the impact of the Sunshine Corridor on any of the volumes and how these two might play in together?
I'm going to hopefully get help with that. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, this is Andrew Velasquez with AECOM. I'm Planning and Traffic Engineering Manager for the Forest Turnpike Enterprise. Short answer is no. Typically what we do when we do this type of level of analysis, we'll look at improvements in the cost feasible plan. So if it's a cost feasible improvement that has known funding, that'll be incorporated into the travel demand model. So whatever in the travel demand model at the time for transit improvements in the cost feasible plan would have been embedded in that mode choice component, which would then take away from some of the automobile trips. Okay.
I think it is worth investigating since the Sunshine Corridor in this area is parallel to the improvements you're looking to make. So there might be a reduced demand on the 528 when that is constructed.
Sure.
All right, how about that second presentation?
This will go quicker. Okay, so the next project is the widening of the turnpike from US 192 to Parton Settlement in Osceola County. As I mentioned, milepost 242 to 243.5. This slide highlights the key milestones for this project. The public information meetings are scheduled for June 9th and 11th, with right-of-way acquisition to follow. Design is scheduled to be completed the 3rd quarter of 2027, and construction is planned for the 1st quarter of 2028. So the proposed widening of the Turnpike Main Line is located between Neptune Road and Parton Settlement in Osceola County, and I mentioned the milepost numbers. In addition to the widening, there are also proposed interchange improvements at 192. It's worth mentioning that this project does fall between two adjacent projects currently in construction, which are widening the turnpike. The project to the north widens from Parton Settlement to Osceola Parkway, and the project to the south includes the Clay Whaley Road interchange improvements and the new Nolte Road interchange improvements, which also includes widening from milepost 239 to 242. So looking specifically at the current project, this slide illustrates the proposed improvements. North arrow is oriented to the right. The existing bridge over US 192 will be replaced to accommodate the additional lanes and optimize mainline geometry. The turnpike mainline interchange at US 192 will be completed with the addition of new northbound and southbound on-ramps and a new southbound off-ramp. In addition, the existing northbound exit ramp will be widened and lanes will be added to increase storage capacity and improve intersection operations. The new northbound on-ramp and southbound off-ramps will be tolled at the location shown in yellow, and these tolls will be collected all electronically. Right-of-way acquisition for the proposed ponds and turn lanes are shown in green. And finally, US 192 will also be modified to provide new turn lanes and two new signalized intersections associated with the ramp entrance and exit ramps. And the timing of these three signals will be coordinated to maximize operational efficiencies through the interchange. And there's the signals. And this is just a zoomed in view of that interchange, if you wanted to get a closer look. And that is all I had for that project.
Mike, is that the location where it used to be Shady Lane?
Not 100% sure on that.
192 in the turnpike.
Yeah, Andrew Velasquez again. That is at milepost 244, which is the interchange just to the north of it. This is milepost 242. So this would be kind of that south exit. Currently, there's only a northbound off-ramp at that location. So it's the second part where 192 crosses the turnpike. So the improvement will look to add the remainder of the ramps, the southbound on, then the two from north ramps. Now what that would do is that'll take a lot of pressure from that intersection at Shady Lane, now across Prairie Parkway, and redistribute some of that traffic that's going to St. Cloud. There's a lot of movement from the turnpike that wants to get off at that exit and then ultimately head south to developing areas of St. Cloud. So we're expecting a major shift and improvement in traffic conditions along 192 with this project.
Right, but that one is, you're calling it Simi Park Road, but it's actually Clay Whaley or something. No.
Down south, that's milepost 240, so that's 2 miles to the south. That's now going to be the Nolte Road interchange that is under construction.
Cameron Crandall with St. Cloud. There's an existing traffic signal there. Is that staying with the two new proposed ones?
Yes, there's an existing traffic signal for the northbound on. That'll stay. Okay. And then we're adding a new signal for the southbound off.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you both. All right. Public comments on our action items. We will now hear public comments on the action items. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record, and please hold your comments to 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function, and you will be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We will send you a prompt to unmute your mic. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
We have no hands raised online.
Okay, and do we have any members of the public attending in person that wish to make a public comment?
No comments received.
All right, and were there any written comments that were submitted before the meeting?
None submitted.
All right. We move into our lone action item today is the April 24th of 2026 meeting minutes. The full meeting minutes are included in section 2 of the agenda packet. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Joe LaFosso.
All right. A second?
Second, Tony Nelson.
Perfect. Any discussion on the motion for the April 2026 meeting minutes? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Cool. There are no TAC only presentations today. General information, there's several items in the general information portion of the agenda packets, which is section 3. Our upcoming meetings of interest, the next TAC meeting is held in person Friday, June 26th of 2026. The next Metro Plan Orlando board meeting is in person on Wednesday, June 10th at 9 a.m. Are there any member comments on other business today? All right. Now for the final public comment section. We'll hear public comments on all business. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record. Please hold your comments to 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you'll be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad and we'll send you a prompt to unmute your mic. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
No hands raised.
All right. Do we have any members of the public attending in person that wish to make a public comment?
No comments received.
Dokie. Are there any written comments that were submitted before the meeting?
None received.
Cool. All right. Well, school just ended, so I'm sure we all have a lot of vacations lined up. I encourage you to ride a bike, ride the bus, ride the train if you're getting out of town. Learn, live. We're planners and engineers, so we bring these things home to Central Florida, new ideas that we can share amongst each other. There's a lot of safety theme at the beginning of this meeting. So, commute patterns have changed now that school is out. Keep your eyes open, be alert, especially all the kids on their electric bikes moving around quickly that we've heard about. But with that, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day. This meeting is adjourned. It is, what is it? Speed running, 10:47. Thank you, everybody.